Hi, welcome to What About Indie Games. This is episode 6, and we're back for 2025. How are you, Renee? Like, how's life been?
Oh, is that a good idea? We've had to essentially delay the last two recordings because I've been sick.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
okay.
I got
It's all
I
good.
got a sinus infection and a lung infection, and then in December I got the tooth infection. And then last week I had norovirus, so been having a whale of a time.
So you have had heaps
And
of time to play indie games, then.
no, because the reason I was sick was because I'd wore myself down through removing a tree in my backyard. So
Okay,
I have not had much time for indie games. I've only played two.
okay. Well, we can talk a little bit about our favorite games from last year or stuff like that, and our most anticipated games for this year, things like that as well.
I don't check what comes out this year. I just get the updates from the PR journalist thingy and I look at it and I go, that looks interesting. And then I immediately forget it exists.
I thought you were just gonna bug me about Light as well, but that's okay. We'll move on to something
Is it
else.
coming out though? Is it coming out?
Who knows? I keep putting it back, don't I? That's what indie game devs do. Oh yeah, it's definitely coming out next year, and then like next
Scope
year,
creep.
yeah, yeah, it doesn't
I
make.
mean, what was it you were asking if people like the kick animation? You were
Yeah.
like, let's change the entire game slightly because I have decided I'm not happy with this animation. I actually preferred the lighter kick as opposed to the heavy one, but I saw that everyone else was like, no, the heavy one has so much oomph, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna be quiet then.
Well, no, we did change. We changed it so there's both kicks now. So that took me
Oh,
like
okay.
3 days to work out. So if you don't kick a box, then it's just a light kick, and if you do kick a box, there's a heavy kick, and that way everyone's happy. Yeah, but that does take time, and like all good indie games, it always takes time to do all these little tweaks and things that make everything good.
I mean,
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like, it's with indie games. A lot of the time, it's about trying. I mean, scope creep is very much a problem, and it's about trying to make sure that you can make the best game you can on the budget that you've got. And it's it's really easy to say what you're going to do, but when you're actually implementing it, it can make it quite hard, and things can be pushed out. Things can be, they might have to be reduced back. It's not exactly and that's the thing. Like you can say, I expect this to be out in 3 years' time, and then it might take you 5 years, or it might take you less, depending on what your life situation is and stuff like that. Like if you're in a hospital bed where you can't get up and you've got only got access to like a laptop, you can probably make a simple game fairly quickly because you don't have any other responsibilities. But when you have things like family and if you're looking for after someone else, or if there are kids involved, it makes it a lot harder.
yeah. I was going to argue it's more about time than budget with most indie devs. I think because they're just trying to
Well, the thing
find
is that
time.
a lot of the time, if you have budget, you can do time-saving measures by buying things. So
Yeah.
it's kind of the same kind of thing. Like you have to take more time to do things because you don't have the budget to take those shortcuts that like you could buy the free version of this video editing software that makes your life a lot easier, but the free version is good enough. It's just it might take a bit longer, but it's
Yeah.
if it saves money, it's easier to do it the way that takes the longest.
Yeah, that's basically it. And I think the other part is that with indie games, you're kind of experimenting a bit, and you're trying to work out what people like, because you want to make your game successful, and to make your game successful, you've got to kind of have people interested in your game. So you've got to have mechanics and things that people like in the game, but you don't. You're kind of guessing that a little bit, and so you you're asking people for information on what they like, so you can get some feedback and make the game that the community likes, as well as the game that you're trying to make. It's got a bit of both, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that when you're making an indie game, you need to think about what sets your game apart, and you need to market it on that. And while that is really great, at the same time, you've got kind of got to be careful, because if you focus too much on what sets it apart, you might miss things that are important. So it's all a balancing act, all a fancy balancing act.
Yeah. So what games have you been playing lately? Should I dare to ask?
So I've been playing Ved
Ved.
and Trash Goblin.
Okay.
Yes, it's VED.
VD. Oh, I'm gonna look it up. Is it on Steam? I assume it's
Yep.
on Steam.
It's on Steam. I'm playing it on Xbox, though, on an Xbox One,
Is it part of the
because I don't
Game
have an Xbox
Pass?
Series or anything. Oh no, just for because I'm reviewing that for Player Two, and I'm
Ah, okay.
reviewing Trash Goblin for Quelbert,
Okay.
because I now am doing game reviews for them as well.
Oh,
They let
nice.
me talk about Final Fantasy 14 things.
Oh my God. Have you got time in your life still? Like
Yeah.
that'd be like, you've got so much to write about that. I'm sure you'd be able to write for days.
I've been focusing on doing the events, so basically, because I really like the lore stuff, I've been writing the history of the event lore. So I did the Starlight Celebration, which is their Christmas event, and then I did the Heaven's Turn, which is the New Year's event.
Okay.
I probably won't have anything else to write until about Easter, when they'll do Hatching Tide.
Yeah. Oh, Ved. Okay. I'm looking at some Ved stuff now. Um, it looks. Is that actually an indie game? VED. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, it is an indie game.
It looks way more than an indie game. Are you sure that's an indie game?
Yes, yes, I am very sure. Because the art style, when you see it, you see the art style and you're like, hey, it looks really cool. And then you see it moving and you're like, oh my God, my eyes, what the hell happened?
Oh, so it's turn based.
Um, it's essentially split into two parts. There's the normal world, and then there is the magic realm, human realm and the magic realm. And the thing is that the VED are people that are supposed to stop the two from merging. But
Ah,
one of the VEDs changed and became a turncoat and tried to not stop them from being separate. He was fine with them coming together. Anyway, in the magic realm, the main character can see, and that's where all combat happens. And a lot of the times, you will make a choice which will then need a dice roll to decide if it's going to succeed. In the human realm, it's all about making choices with relationships with other humans, and it's all about the narrative very much in the human world. But the thing is that in the human world, he's supposed to be blind, but I found that the blindness representation is quite inconsistent.
maybe colorblind, or you know, you're blind but you can still see figure. Like you're still legally blind, but you can still see shapes and stuff around
Yeah,
you.
well, the thing is that they did that with one character. He sees
Okay.
one character like that, everyone else looks normal. When he's trying to walk around the streets and they've got a map function that reads the map out, directions out to him, which I was like, okay, that's cool. But he's walking around the streets with no help. He doesn't use a cane, he doesn't have a dog, he's just walking around. I'm like, that doesn't seem. He's too confident to be walking around this city he's apparently just moved to that he knows nothing about, and he's walking around with his eyes closed.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that kind of annoys me is that they've drawn the model with his. So when he's in the human realm, his eyes are generally always closed, but you'll see him kind of flicker his eyelids, which is interesting. But the thing is that they show him. He sees normal characters. He sees like 99% of the characters are all normal. They're all drawn normally, but there's one female character that's drawn like you can kind of only see her outline, sort of thing. And then there are segments where the people around him are drawn like that as well. And I'm like, I wish that they'd either chosen to be one style or the other. Like, why not make it so that everyone is like an outline until he gets to know them and then they become a fully fledged drawing? Like, it'd be different for his aunt because he knows his aunt, he's known his aunt for a very long time, but people he meets for the first time, he knows exactly what they look like. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I like rules in a game. I like rules that like where you know what your the kind of mechanics of the game should have rules to them, and if they don't, then it kind of takes away from the game. So I could see that being a
It
bit of a
also
downer.
misrepresents blindness as well because it
Mm-hmm.
just makes it seem like it's only there, like it just seems to be there when it's convenient, sort of thing. And I feel like it just hasn't represented it very well. Like, I feel like if he's walking around with his eyes shut all the time, he should have a cane or a dog, or something that's telling him, maybe he has a reversing sensor, but on the front of him, so he knows how close he is to walls and things. It shouldn't be drawn like he's just walking confidently down the street. He should be going, no, where's the wall, and is there a car?
Yeah, or maybe
Or
say
draw him
that
with his eyes open and show that he can see
a bit.
dark. But the thing is that he never really mentions that he's blind. Like, he might say it to himself, but he doesn't actually say it to other characters. So, for example, one of the first characters you meet asks you to go into a fire to save their computer.
Yeah,
And he doesn't just straight up say to him, hey, mate, I'm legally blind. I don't think I can actually help you.
he just runs into the fire.
Well, you can make the choice saying, no, I'm not, let's call the fire brigade instead, or let's wait for the fire brigade out here, or you can choose to help him. But he just doesn't, I mean, there's a perfect excuse there, and he just never uses it.
I feel like there's another part of you that wants to see one of those dogs that helps blind people in the game.
I mean, yes, I have a Labrador,
Yeah,
and she would absolutely drag a blind person to
perfect.
chase cats, so she'd be a terrible blind dog. She's very good at begging food, as Labradors are. But no, like, I just would have liked to have seen some more representation, because when I realized he was blind, I was like, oh, that's really neat. We've got a protagonist with a disability, and especially a pretty prominent disability that, takes away one of their senses.
But
And
no.
then they just didn't really. It comes up occasionally, but they don't really stick with it. And it's probably the thing that's disappointed me the most about the game so far. I haven't finished it. The stories gripped me, but there's definitely I really like the fighting,
Hmm.
which requires you to be the field is split up into 4 places, and where you're standing will depend on how much damage you take or how much damage the opponent will take. So I really like the fighting, but it just feels very segmented because you've got the 2 realms, and at the moment it doesn't seem like they really interact. You can't fight in the normal world in the human realm. He can only really fight in the, like, I don't know. I'm hoping maybe as I get further through, it'll gel more, but also they've obviously gone for a replayability, because the first time I played through chapter 3,
Hmm.
I actually missed every choice except the last one. So there are choices that you can make that will affect the narrative. But because I was focusing on trying to upgrade my character's abilities so I would have more abilities when I fought, I missed all of them.
Yeah, right.
And I didn't know that. You only find this out after you've played.
So, if, I know it feels like it's a good idea kind of game, but they haven't quite executed it how you would have liked. That's the vibe I'm
It's
getting.
it's in a way, it's kind of similar to the one I was playing in December, which was I Am Future, where it was a lot of really good ideas and they got them to almost completion and then they just stopped. So it was a lot of good ideas, or there wasn't enough of them. So, for example, there was a section that was like a diorama, and you could go around the diorama and explore and learn more about the world. But they only had 3 of those in the game,
Uh,
in the entire game, and I was like, well, what's the point of that? Like, I thought every location was going to be like that. No, just 3. 3 of the 40 something locations. The rest were all just still images.
uh. But so I'm just going to say, is it overpriced at 36 Australian dollars? What's that, about 25 American dollars?
Or VED.
Yeah.
Hell yes. God.
Oh my God. I was going to go, I was going to say it looks a little bit like 10% too much, but not crazy. And I think they chose a bad time to release too, 15th of November, like prime time to release this. It's like, I feel like there's a few kind of issues with this game.
Okay. I think the main issue I'm having is that it seems very disconnected at the moment. Also doesn't help that the main character is a bit of a twat. Don't really like him that much. Also, at some point, like to me, it just seems like there's a lot of. It feels like I'm missing something. That's probably the best way to put it. The tutorial wasn't very clear. It was quite vague. It kept telling me something about yellow lettering, but on my screen everything was white, so I don't know what they were on about. I don't know if that's an issue with my screen or if that's an issue with the game. Apparently, it's been made by people who don't speak English, so it's possible that some of the stuff was lost in translation as well. I mean, I feel like if you said to me that most of that budget was on the art alone, I would believe you.
Yeah. The
Because
art looks
the art
amazing.
the art is so pretty until they move.
Yeah.
No, it's just seriously. I was like, okay, that's really interesting, and then they started moving. And I'm like, oh, it kind of looks like when they've applied AI to something to make it move, and it doesn't look. It gets that really weird, uncanny valley type thing, and that is how it feels to me. And I almost feel like a physical reaction to it, because when I first saw it, I was just kind of like, oh, the art's really pretty, and then I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. And I mulled it over and I was like, it's not enough to turn me away from the game completely, but it was enough that I was like, I don't really like this.
Yeah, no,
And
fair.
I think that I would have actually preferred it to be still with no animation whatsoever.
It looks really nice, but it just I'm not so sure about it myself. Like it's not my type of game. You know me. I'm not a turn-based strategy guy. I've only played Dolphin. That's the only turn-based strategy game, and that's only because I'm friends with Andrew. Okay, like, and he convinced me that turn-based strategy is my next genre of game, but it's not. He lied to me on so many levels. So yeah, I don't know.
So the actual gameplay where you're doing the turn-based battling part is quite interesting. I mean, I feel like at the moment it just feels a bit like like I said, it feels very much like the human world is very narrative. The magic realm is very actual battles and everything. And it just kind of feels like because you have to swap between the two, it feels very disjointed.
No, that makes sense.
And honestly, I thought it was going to be like a $20 game when you said, because apparently it's quite short.
No, it definitely looks a little bit, but I don't know if indie games are all doing that at the moment. They're going for, say, 20% too much. And then when they put it on the 20% sale, that's actually what they want, because there's some kind of statistic out there that says that 90% of game sales are only via sales. So most devs are now kind of overpricing their game so that when they put it on sale, they get what they actually want for it.
If
Is
I
it?
see it's only on 20%, I don't bother buying it. I think
No.
when I bought the games over Christmas, because Indie EXP gave me a $20 Steam voucher, I actually bought games that were 50% off.
Yeah.
I didn't bother with anything that was too small a discount because,
You
you know,
know.
it's I
But
can't afford to buy all these games.
there's some games that never go more than 25% off. And so
Yeah.
that's where I
And they're the
find,
games I don't buy.
but they're the games that I want. It's just like the same game goes on sale so much. Like
Oh, I've been
Thronefall I love, and it goes on, it's 20% off, goes down to $14 Australian, which I think that's I think that's more than
okay. That's
fair.
that's a reasonable price,
It's 18.
$14. I mean, if it was,
Yeah.
it'd be different if it was like $50 and they were only taking like barely anything off. That's like for the longest time, I didn't buy Dragon Quest Builders 2 because it was always ridiculously priced. And even on sale, it was still ridiculously priced. So I just left it on my wish list for ages and ages and ages. It finally dropped down to about $30. I still didn't buy it. A friend bought it for me for my birthday.
Well, so I bought Content Warning. I'm not sure if you played that.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I watched my friend get chased into the diving bell by one of the monsters and he locked the door. Another friend was somewhere else. They died. And I'm just got 10
Sure.
minutes of air going, how do I get out of this situation? There is a monster in the diving bell. I need to use that to ascend. If I open up the door, the monster's going to come after me.
But
I am screwed.
that game's a nice price. It's very well
Yeah.
priced, and with its 20% off, you get it for like $11 Australian, which is quite
Yeah, it's
okay.
not an expensive game.
No.
But then there are games like Faith Farm where it's like $70 Australian. And I'm like, it's an indie game. Who's paying $70 for an indie game?
Yeah. Oh, so the one
Like,
game I played over the break was Patrick's Parabox. Have you played that?
no.
It's a Sokoban game, because I like to play a few of these to try and get thinking on my game, whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but it's a Sokoban game, but you can actually push the box inside
You
of
might want to
the box.
explain people what Sokoban means because not everyone knows what that means.
Okay, it's a box pushing game. Is that
It's a sliding puzzle.
sliding puzzle? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you can. So you know how you normally got boxes that are all the same size, and then you push them around, and sometimes in some of them they'll have the rules that you can push two at a time. Some of them will have the different rules. This one here has another thing where if you push two at a time and they go into the wall and then go against the wall, sorry, and then one of the boxes is got like a hole in it, then you can push that box inside of the other box, and then you can actually go
Okay.
inside of another box and do the puzzle inside of a box. So you can do a puzzle inside of a box, and then you can make that puzzle inside of a box, and it gets very hectic. And
I would definitely have to look at this because hearing it just is breaking my brain. I'm just thinking of Matra Shoka dolls, but with boxes.
yeah, so
Yeah, we heard you like
have a look.
puzzles, so we put puzzles inside your puzzles, inside your
Yeah,
puzzles, inside your puzzles.
yeah, and then you can, and then you, so it's sometimes you'll have to actually go inside of a box to go inside of a box to undo something that's in there, so then you can go back outside of a box to make the puzzle all work. It's quite, yeah. Have a look at
It's telling you to think inside the box while also thinking outside the box
yeah,
and thinking outside the other box. But don't
Yeah.
forget to think inside the box as well.
Yeah, and this is one that I had on my wish list for a while. It sells for $30 Australian, which is quite expensive, and it only ever goes down to 20% off. But
Mm.
it did go down to like 40% off over the Christmas break, and so I finally bit the
And it
bullet.
was just like,
I have to get this because I've been waiting so long, and I got onto it, and it because it looks shit. Like the graphics in the game, I don't know. My 5-year-old kid could do better than that. Like they're basically squid.
is it designed to be like a low res sort of thing? Because you know how that's kind of the fad at the moment.
I think it's designed to that, but it just looks. There's nothing appealing about the aesthetics of this game.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, but some games get away with like some games are purposefully ugly. You know, it kind of depends on the game.
Yeah, so this game's definitely got that part, and so I feel like if it was $30 but had like a little bit neater looking kind of thing, then you'd be like, oh yeah, okay, I could spend that much money. But yeah, it's hurt my brain just watching the video at the moment because my eyes are flickering. But it's yeah,
Honestly, would struggle to pay. I mean, Go Town is really good. I would definitely pay $30 for that. I'd probably pay $30 for Farewell North as well, and I'd probably pay about $20 for What the Car. But like, I feel like that it, some people are just overstretching their goals and making their
or
games too expensive.
or are we undervaluing them? Okay, hear me out. New Grand Theft Auto 6 or whatever it is, whatever they're up to now, is rumored to be selling for around $100 US, which will then put it on sale here for about $150 Australian kind of money, which then a $30
That's
indie
ridiculous.
game seems like a logical price. And a lot of industry experts are saying that the price of Grand Theft Auto 6 will save the gaming industry because games haven't gone up in price for so long. Like everyone's expecting every game to be $70. You know, like games.
I understand that the games haven't gone up in price for so long, but the problem is that at the moment we've got a higher cost of living, wage stagnation, and stuff like that. So a lot of people are probably having to up the prices of their games so that they can survive. But the problem is that people don't have any extra disposable income, and one of the first things that's going to go is games because people can't. That's considered entertainment.
Well,
Netflix,
maybe.
TV, games, it really, yeah, it depends. But the thing is that when people are looking to cut like costs, that's going to be sort of where it's going to happen. And I understand that for the indies, they're just trying to survive. Unfortunately, this is a symptom of our capitalist world. So I do understand they need to go up, but the thing is that I don't know about anyone else, but my disposable income hasn't increased. It's
No,
decreased.
that's true. But if I said to you, hey, let's go out for some beers this weekend, which would probably cost you $100, or you could stay at home for $30 and play an indie game, I think you're going to probably stay at home and spend that $30 on an indie game. It's actually cheaper.
I can't have beer. I have celiacs, remember?
You have to always ruin my analogies, damn it.
Yep, I have to ruin it. The thing is that like if you can't afford it, you can't afford it.
Yeah.
I can understand indie games trying to get more money to help themselves out, like, cause especially because some of them are using this as the kind of to understand how much they need to charge for the next game and stuff like that. But it's just, yeah, it's unfortunate that with the state of the world as it is, it's going to make it really hard. I don't.
Yeah.
And the thing is it's the same with like the game industry is unfortunately in the same state where they're forcing crunch on people. They're sacking as many people as possible because the cost of games has risen, but they also don't want to increase the wages, so people can't buy as many games.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I'm just trying to get some sense
Yeah,
of
I
it. Yeah.
understand. Like a $30 indie game is a lot cheaper than Grand Theft Auto 6. I'm not going to be buying Grand Theft Auto 6 though. That's definitely something I'd never be able to afford. I would like an Xbox Series X or S. I can't afford it, so I just don't buy it.
Well,
And it's the same
there's no
with
point because the
the
Xbox,
PS5.
the next Xboxes come in 2026. Today they just announced the Switch 2, which is going to be
Yeah.
about $800 Australian, $900.
Oh, great. Well, I probably won't be getting that either.
Yeah, so it's
I mean,
massive.
just I've been trying to save up for a new computer for 2 years and I just can't afford it because for those who don't know, I'm a full-time carer. I'm on a carer's pension. I generally look after my mum. That's my full-time job. The problem is that there's just there's barely any there's barely any disposable income after bills. The games journalism industry has essentially collapsed with, I think, just Games Hub and who else? There's Games Hub and
That other one that was
I was
owned
going
by
to say Press Start, but
Classic
they
K.
actually sacked their only full-time games journalist last year.
Can
So,
Cano start Channel 9 owned them. What was that mob?
oh, that was Kotaku. They got shut down
Kotaku.
last year.
Yeah, that one. That one.
They were shut down last year. So that's gone. Which means that, yeah, essentially you got Games Hub and Press Start. Which means that everyone that is generally doing video games journalism is doing it for nothing. We're all doing it for exposure,
To try
basically.
and get a job.
Well, the thing is, there's no jobs. There isn't any jobs. No one wants to pay the cost of servers and stuff. Player 2 recently took on advertising Grand Theft Auto Online because they couldn't. The person who runs it was essentially paying out of his own pocket to get the service to run for the site. Like, it costs so much. And the people who do have money that can pay for these things often don't want to because they don't see the value in it. Which is what happened with Channel 9. They essentially shut down Kotaku and then they moved all their gaming stuff to Pedestrian TV and Pedestrian Online or whatever it's called.
Okay. I didn't know about that one.
They didn't move any of the people from Kotaku to there. They hired new people, which I think it wasn't specifically for gaming. It was just for just journalists in general. So you're going to get people who are kind of like they are on Channel 7 and stuff, where they talk about games, but they don't actually know anything about them.
Yeah, so they're going to be the people that go, oh, there's this new really good game that's come out, this indie game called Grand Theft Auto 6, that 5 people have made over in England or whatever, and they'll give us a rundown of it, and it's so hyped to come out this year, but they actually don't know the inside story of that game's been made. They've been making that game for however long, and who's making it.
It's not even that. They'll like, here's the press release. We'll read what the press release says.
Yeah.
But don't ask us any questions because we don't actually know anything about it.
Because we didn't even actually play it.
Yeah, it's like the fluff pieces that you see where they're like, this dog was saved from a tree because it fell down a pit and they rescued the dog. It's just a feel-good filler story that they put in there so they can be like, look, we cover games.
I got a newspaper lady rang me up the other day about my game.
Yeah?
Yeah. And she was from Tasmania.
I hope they don't find this and then decide they're going to sue me.
No. She was more interested in the idea.
I mean, pedestrian.
No. This is from the Tasmanian local thing. So, like, I don't know, probably 10 people have read this story, but it was really nice. But it was more like because of the Tasmanian part of the game. It wasn't because it's a video game or anything like that. It was more, oh, it's got some Tasmanian
I
stuff
think
in it.
I think a lot of this coverage you've had has been about because of the fact that it's from Tassie, hasn't it? Or that it
Yeah,
features Tasmanian
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. That's very much. Well, that's what we get a bit of. So, I mean,
It must feel very frustrating to be like, no, there's a whole ass game in there somewhere that would be interesting if you could see the whole of it rather than some of its parts.
it doesn't matter. Anything's better than nothing. It's like,
Yeah, true.
you know, it's all free advertising, isn't it? So,
Speaking of, I feel like I need to apologize to any indies who are waiting for their PAX previews to go up. I have no control over the uploads.
I'm still waiting.
Yeah, none have gone up since PAX except for Servernauts because it released
Yeah.
while over it actually released over the time period. It hasn't just been because I've been sick. I don't actually do the uploads.
Okay.
I just make the things. It's just sitting there in my Google Drive waiting.
Well, the good news is in like what about 2 months, 2 months and 1 week, we get to do TGX. Are
Yeah,
you doing that?
I need to email GX, but I'm hoping that I will because I will probably go there to cover stuff for Quelbert. I don't know about Player 2. I don't know because if Paul's going for Player 2, then I can go for Quelbert instead, especially because I wanted to cover some of the tabletop, which I can't normally do for Player 2. I will also, I don't need to be there, but 3 games from Indie EXP are supposed to be going, so
Okay. And
I'll be there to shitpost
I'm only
in
just
person.
hoping that you turn up so I get more snakes for my booth.
You want me to bring gummy worms?
That's all I assume that I get from you from now on is you turn up and go, here's some gummy worms, and you leave me and go away and don't talk to me again. It's like, I've seen your game. I don't need to talk to you anymore. So,
I was so busy that weekend. Jeez. The problem is that everyone after I made videos, people were like, "You need to come by the booth," and I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then, but the problem is that everyone says you need to come by the booth so I can say hi to you, and it's like I do not have time to do anything except go by indie booths.
it's all right. Well, no, but it's not too far away. That's
No
pretty
one else
exciting.
got gummy worms from me.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, okay. It's all good. I'm excited. Um, but yeah,
I actually got my license the other day and was wearing your shirt.
oh, really? Did they,
I was actually wearing I was wearing the Danger Thumbs shirt yesterday because I thought we were going to do the podcast yesterday, so I was going to tease you with it, but then we ended up
doing it today?
pushing it to today because obviously we could have done it yesterday if I wasn't so slow and lazy.
Whatever. It's all good. It's all good. More games. Do you want to talk about another game, or what do you want to do?
I will talk about Trash Goblin.
Okay. I will look it up.
That's the other one that I'm playing at the moment. It is in early access, but it honestly it's a sort of game where I can play it and just not think. Like, you know how in meditation people think it should be no thoughts? That's me playing Trash Goblin. No thoughts. No thoughts. Just remove the crust, wash the item, store it, and if someone wants to buy it, give it to them.
Oh, it's like a puzzle
No
game
thoughts.
kind of thing.
Yes and no, because the thing is that there is a slight puzzle element, but a lot of the time if you just smack things, you'll eventually get the answer.
Okay. So it's more of a
What I like to
cleaning
do,
thing.
yeah, it's kind of like a combination of, it's more of a simulator, I would say. What I actually like to do with it is I actually try to reveal the item with the least amount of hits. So a lot of the time, if you hit sand that's closer or crust that's closer to the item, anything that's attached to that will dissolve. So a lot of the time I'll try and do, unless I'm feeling really lazy and tired, then I'll just smack it. Just
Okay.
smack it over time. But I also just like, even just the task of cleaning. There are times where I just sit there and I'll just clean items. And then a customer will show up and I'll be like, go away. I want to clean items. I just want to sit here and squeege and like sponge down my items and make them all nice and clean again.
Yeah. Okay.
I did really like there's a lizard person that comes to get bedpans from you. They request clean bedpans. The name's Donoval.
Yeah. Yeah.
But one of the things I really liked about him is that he's a lizard person, and the reason he wanted the bedpans is because he wants to make his bed hotter. So he was using them to put fire in to try and warm up his bed rather than actually using it to pee in. Because he's a cold-blooded creature, it makes sense that he'd want a warm bed. Lizards usually sunbake.
Okay.
I don't think red lights exist. I don't think UV lights exist in that world, so he has to use bedpans. He only uses clean ones, though.
Okay. I just let he can call me back later. There.
I do really like that he's like, greetings to the goblin. He's also really nice to the goblin. He's one of the first people that's quite nice to the goblin.
No, it seems like a really cool idea for a game. It's definitely got that whole vibe of just doing something kind of game where you just sit there and you do some stuff, and it's one of those games
It's
that
very
after
mindful.
yeah, and
That's how I find it. It's a very mindful game because even if I do have a thought, it will just pass by because I don't. It's not important right now. I'm cleaning things. I'm removing crust.
yeah,
I need to find if this is going to be that goddamn bone ring that person wants, or am I going to get rid of them?
yeah. No, it seems like a pretty cool game. It's
Yeah, there's
yeah. You go.
the main complaint I heard is that there's not a lot of variety, but I've been happy with the variety so far. The only thing that I'm really having issues with is that the when customers are asking for something, sometimes I've got like a pile of junk in my trash goblin area because I'm not getting the items I need. So a lot of the time I'll just clear an item and I'll throw it away into the junk pile. Clear an item, throw it into the junk pile. I get the one that I need and then I sell it.
So
And
you
then I'm like,
can't
here's all
sell
this
the
extra
other
junk.
item. You can't sell them.
No, there
Oh,
doesn't seem to be a way to sell excess items. I think there is an upgrade where you can put items in that you can ask people to pay what they want for that item if you're having trouble selling certain things. But the problem is that I'm don't have enough funds to buy that yet. So like, because you got to pay to upgrade. It's still in early access though, so that might change. You know, there might be an option to add stuff to pay to sell things that you might not need later. I just keep trying to buy more storage so I can hoard more crap. Just like real life.
so is there a way to die in this game, or is it just a?
No,
So this is basically just a hoarder's game.
no, you need to sell the stuff.
Yeah, but
It's just that I
so
would
what
like to have
about
one of everything in
hypothetically?
stock.
I fill up all my things and I can't buy any more storage. Is it game over?
No, you can then just dump things on the floor.
And then that stuff on the floor doesn't do anything. It can never go
No,
back into my
just sits there.
case.
No, you can then just pick it up when you're ready. Like, so essentially, there'll be places that you can put things. And basically what I was doing is that the desk that you work on, your workstation, you generally only need the front half of it. So what I've just been doing is I've just been pushing it all to the back, just dumping it at the back, and there's like a small mountain at the back there of just trash that needs to be cleaned. You can also you can also fuse things together. So you can actually make new items using old items. So for example, I think the quest I've got at the moment is you need to get a certain mask. Of course, I have every mask type except the one that they want.
Makes sense.
Because that's how the world works, yeah. And then you need to attach two pot handles to the mask to make it look like a different mask. And that would get rid of 3 items, the mask and the 2 pot handles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It there's an upcycle element. I think that I'm hoping that there'll be more later. Honestly, I just really want to have one of each clean
You just
item,
want
so if
to.
someone comes, I can
You
just
just
go,
want to.
here's your shit.
You just want to clean shit, don't you?
I just want to clean stuff
Yeah.
and stab things with the chisel. I just want to remove the craft with the chisel
Yeah.
and clean. There is a cleaning pot, but it costs money to use, and it takes all day to clean. And I'm like, I don't know why it costs money. I feel like it should be free.
Well, if you're gonna pay for it, it should be like a free wash. Like you can just chuck an item in there and come back to it.
Well, the idea is that it takes 24 hours for the item to wash. So you throw it in there, you pay 5 gold, and then you have to wait 24 hours for it to clean.
Yeah. Well, that's
Because
not too
there's a
bad.
day night cycle. It doesn't really need to pay for it. I think instead of paying for it, you should be able to upgrade it so you can put more than one item in there.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
But like I said, still early access. There's still a chance for things to change, and I think a lot of people have said that they don't like the having to pay to use the wash basket, the wash basin. So maybe it'll change in the future. You can also display your goods at your workshop that you've cleaned.
It's actually a pretty good price too. And this whole theme, this whole show seems to be on the theme of price,
Yeah.
but it sold like 3 times as many copies as what the other game sold, and probably because of the price involved on it. It's easy to get. Like it's maybe a more user friendly game as well, but it's also. Sometimes I wonder if you have the game just that little bit cheaper and you sell another 100 copies, that probably makes up for trying to get more money out of it, if that makes
I think
sense.
also the fact that Trash Goblin also seems to be sort of game that if you come away, if you leave for a while and you come back, it's still exactly the same. Like you can kind of pick up where you left off. Whereas a lot of other games, there's all these mechanics that you need to remember. You got to remember what
Ugh.
decisions you made and stuff like that. This isn't it. There's the chisel to remove the croft. There's the sponge to clean the dirt, and there's the upcycler. That's it. Those are the three. That's the three main mechanics.
I love that in a game though. Why don't people make more games like that? It shouldn't be more
And what
complicated.
mechanic you use depends on what tool you pick up. If you pick up the chisel, then you use that to break off the craft. If you pick up the sponge, you'll clean the item.
Yeah.
If you pick up the upcycler, you can then take things out of your inventory to then smush it together.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I had to do was a beer stein lid, and a beer stein handle. So to make a full one, you needed 3 parts.
Oh yeah.
One day I'm going to get 4 viola tuning pegs, and I'm going to make a brand new viola.
And then hopefully you don't have to play it. That'll be a bad situation.
I actually used to play viola in high school.
Wow, we've just learned something brand new.
It was only for about a year. I played cello for about a year as well. I swapped from cello to viola because I couldn't do the long fourth. I'm trying to show you. Oh no, there's my camera. So fourth to first is like that long, and as you can see, my hands are quite small, and I couldn't quite push down here because it's the side, essentially the side of the finger rather than the top of it. So it'd be like a weird, just to try and push it down.
So you just want someone
It,
to
wa-
make Viola Sim the games so you could actually go and learn. Oh no, cello, isn't it? Cello, the game. So
I
you could.
learnt I learnt cello, but once I realized I had to move from 1 to 4 and that it was too big a gap for my hand, I had to swap to an instrument that I could actually play with my tiny hands. And I swapped to viola, and I played that for a year. So I played cello for a year and I played viola for a year. I ended up dropping it because the teacher kind of lost interest in old students when new students arrived, if that makes sense.
What? Okay, so the teacher's like, "Oh, you guys are old. You're no fun. I don't like hanging out."
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
like so when you were like the fresh new year seven, she's like, "Oh, I'm so glad to teach all these guys violin and stuff," and then you'd be like, "Hey, what about me? I've been here 2 years," and she's like, "Yeah, you're fine. You'll here's some sheet music. Go
you'll
deal with
figure
it."
it out.
Yeah, you
Okay.
know how to read music. You don't need my help. Just
Yeah.
go learn it by yourself. It's fine.
Yeah. Fair enough. Um. Okay. Have we got time for my last game of the week?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you may as well.
Okay. I played Ball and Air. Have you heard of this game?
Oh, that's the one that's where you. It's like, um,
It's like a pachinko machine.
yeah, it's pachinko, but it's like all different. There's a whole bunch of them, and they all fall down.
Yeah.
So it's like a billion balls, a
No, no, no,
billion
no,
pachinko
no.
balls. No?
No, no, you only start with one ball, but then you'll what you do is on your little pins, you'll put little power ups and stuff. So it's a roguelike pachinko machine, and you'll start off with like a couple of little things in them on the pins, and then you'll add some more things to the pins, and like so you might add a whale to the pin, and the whale will take in three balls, and then when you hit the whale the fourth time, it'll explode and spit out eight balls. Things like that happen in the game, and then so you've got to kind of there's a lot of luck in the game, but there's a lot of figuring out what each upgrade does and how you can best
Yeah.
add all the
I'm
upgrades.
trying to think. There was another one that was a pachinko one that I know that was also a roguelite one that a lot of people really were interested in. A lot of people were really excited for it, and it finally came out of early access, I think, last year. But my brain cannot remember what it was called.
I'll see if it's part. Maybe it's on the this one's games like this one.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was. I know there was a lot of people addicted to it for a while.
Oh, this game's like super addictive for like 2 hours. I played it for like 2 hours straight, and I would never play another game in that 2 hour period of my life. And then after 2 hours, I couldn't stand the game anymore. I was over it, and I never wanted to talk about it ever again. It was like
So
that.
here you are talking about it.
Yeah. But it was like that. It's like you really enjoy it for like a really short amount of time, and then you're kind of like, what are we doing
Short
here?
bursts. You need it in short bursts. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also like your game, how you could come back to it multiple times, and
Mm.
you don't have to really think. You just have a quick
Kind of like a
game or
pick up
two,
and play.
that kind of thing. And because there's a lot of luck involved, you might go good or you might go bad. So
You
yeah,
have to pray to RNGesus.
yes. So yeah, that was about where that game was.
Save me.
Did you? How did you? Have you played Balatro? Like, was that worthy of Indie Game of the Year according to the Game
I
Awards?
have not played Balatro because I am not very good at gambling. I'm not very good at poker. It's not my sort of thing. But I understand why it got Indie Game Award
Okay, do
of the
tell,
year
because I
because
have no idea. I look at it and just go, "This looks not that fun."
well, I think that the thing is that it's the sort of game where 90% of the population will absolutely enjoy the hell out of it, and then 10% of us are just going, "Oh,
No,
what's so great about
I
it?"
disagree. I think like 60% of the population think it's amazing, and then there's like 40% that don't get it. It's like it's a card game, you know?
It's poker. It's poker with a bunch of different rules depending on what jokers you've got, is my understanding, but I haven't played it.
Yeah.
So apparently, depending on the pack you use, the rules are slightly different. So there's a bunch of different kind of modes, I guess. But I did see somebody playing with a modded version of Balatro, and it had the six something, and I was just like, "That's ridiculous."
Yeah. No, I know it looks okay, but I don't know. I'm not really. And none of my
I
friends
think
on Steam have it, so it can't be that good.
I think it's because I think the thing is with it is that it is such a simple game, and I think that its genius is in that simplicity.
It's like I used to make a lot of golf games, and the thing was I didn't have to explain people the rules; they could just pick it up and
Yeah.
play. And that's probably what you're right about, because most people that know card games know poker and know the rules for poker. So then if you just add a couple of extra rules, then it becomes easy to pick up and kind of fun.
It's a bit like house rules poker, I would probably say. So it's got lots of little things that you can do. I just know all my friends are addicted to it and have been like, the worst thing I could possibly do is get this on mobile.
Because you'll have no life
And I
left.
was just like, I'm like, I am okay because I don't really like that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
The most I'll do is like maybe solitaire or blackjack, because those ones you can kind of guess, sort of thing.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Oh well, that was that. Is there any games that you really stood out to you last year?
Go Town and Farewell North.
Okay.
What the Car was also really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Farewell North got my game of the year for, and Go Town was my runner-up because it's in early access.
I'm still running with Thronefall. I loved that from last year. I don't think you've even played it, so it's okay.
No.
It's
Have you played Go Town or
no,
Farewell North?
no, they're very expensive games. I'm not a billionaire like you, like with lots of money. Like we've just gone through in the podcast how you have twice the money that I have. Um, I'm
I
joking.
mean, I did receive both games for free, so
Okay. Go Town has always been on my list of things. It I remember seeing it PAX 2 years ago now, and it was like, yeah, I
it
wanted,
wasn't last year, it was the year before.
yeah, and I wanted to, you know, what I mean, like, because it was similar vibe to what I was doing, so I like to try and play those games. I just haven't got to it yet.
It's very silly fun. It also has 4-player. I don't know if it's got 4-player co-op. I know it's got 2-player split screen. I know that they're trying to implement that they're hoping to implement online play this year.
Yeah. Oh, if it does, it'll
But it's
blow up 10
it's
times
a
bigger.
it's a game that you can play with your kids with no problems.
Oy. I play games that I shouldn't play with my kids with no problems, but I'm not one of those parents. I'm like, yeah, okay, let's play Content Warning or Borderlands
Oh yeah, I feel like content warning isn't that bad.
or or Call of Duty Zombies or something like
Yeah, no, that's fine.
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
When you start getting into like let's play Silent Hill 2 together, that's when you might have some problems.
oh, have you ever played Resident Evil 7?
Yes.
You know
I
that.
haven't played Village, but I've played 7.
Yeah, you know the bit it's like towards the start, you go through the water and then you go up the stairs and then you hear this knocking at the door. So
Did you traumatize your kids?
I did that part and then I gave it to my kids and said, "Oh, go and open the door up." And they went to the door and they screamed so bad. It was probably the worst thing you could ever do. They've never wanted to play any Resident Evils after that. That was it.
You ruined Resident Evil for them. I hope you realize that. It's a game they probably could have enjoyed if it wasn't for you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I told them it was too scary and they didn't buy into it.
Yeah, well, you're just supposed to ignore them.
Okay, I feel like we're pretty much wrapped up and we're back on track for this year and we'll be back in a couple of weeks or something like that.
Providing I don't get sick again.
Yes, that. And yeah, and we'll talk more indie games and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be pretty fun. Yeah. Bye.
Years later.
See you later.